According to reports, 50 Cent uploaded startling new video of Sean Combs appearing terrified and frightened while incarcerated, and it has gone viral on the internet. For weeks, rumors arose that Diddy was living happily inside, sipping wine, and advising prisoners on business. However, recent allegations point to a completely different reality. According to sources, Diddy may have individuals pursuing him behind bars for unexpected reasons. Reports even claim that members of Tupac Shakur's social circle may be involved in the threat.
Might be danger over here because people think that he has something to do with Pac. People think he has something to do with Biggie, and they right here in Brooklyn. You understand? It's right here in Brooklyn, and some of the people are still mad that he made Making of the Band walk to Brooklyn from, to get the cheesecake, and just around the corner from the Cheesecake Factory. So, Junior's. So it might be some dumb shit. So y'all need to get him out of here and ship him to Jersey because somebody gonna kill him over here. Those are good arguments, if you want to call it, but it's bullshit. He gonna get the same treatment no matter how much money he got.
Hip music has been plagued by the deaths of Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. for years. For the same amount of time, Sean Combs has continuously denied any role in either murder.
It was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to Tupac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
On September 7th, 1996, Tupac Shakur was shot during a drive-by in Las Vegas. Before passing away at the age of 25, he battled for 6 days. The Notorious B.I.G. was slain in the same manner in Los Angeles on March 9, 1997, just 6 months later. At a time when the music industry was divided, two rap titans were destroyed one after the other. The conflict between the East and West Coasts, it was more than just music. It was long-standing tension, pride, and loyalty. Biggie's producer, personal friend, and head of Bad Boy Records, Sean Combs, was solidly on the East Coast side. Diddy's name kept coming up in discussions about both deaths over time. The documentary series Sean Combs on Netflix. Several participants in the reckoning, which debuted on December 2nd, claimed Diddy might have been involved, bringing previous conversations back into the forefront. According to Kirk Burroughs, co-founder of Bad Boy, the conflict between Diddy and Tupac wasn't unexpected. Prior to November 30th, 1994, they traveled in similar circles. Tupac was in Quad Studios in New York that evening to record a guest verse for Lil Sean, Diddy's artist. Rather, Tupac was shot 5 times in the lobby and robbed. He lived, but his faith in Biggie and Diddy was destroyed at that same moment. Tupac was asked explicitly if he thought Diddy was involved in a 1996 interview with Vibe magazine. Gene Deal asserts that Sean Combs knew Tupac Shakur would be shot and allowed it to occur, despite the fact that the Quad Studios shooting was never solved. He claims that while the incident was covered in a 50 Cent documentary, a crucial aspect was omitted. Gene claims that Diddy, Andre Harrell, and Jimmy Henchman were all in Jimmy's office on that particular day. According to Gene, Suge Knight and the Notorious B.I.G. were unaware of that. He claims that Diddy wasn't there by chance and that he was keeping an eye on Biggie because he was in charge of Biggie's publishing at the time. Gene says Diddy was curious about Biggie's new material. He claims that Diddy wasn't there to collaborate with Biggie, but rather to keep an eye on him. Additionally, Gene claims that Jimmy Henchman informed Diddy that Tupac would receive a lesson regarding money that Tupac purportedly owed while they were there.
In the interim of him being there to spy on Big, Jimmy Henchman told him that they finna teach Pac a lesson. Because Pac had owed him some money. So that's why he was up in the studio and was coming to the studio. Pac owed him some money. He was gonna work it off and get some money from doing a song with Lil Sean. And that's what that was about. But Pac was talking greasy to Jimmy Henchman, and Jimmy Henchman wasn't the type of dude that you talk greasy to, allegedly. Unless you're 50 Cent.
So Diddy knew what was going to happen to Pac?
He knew Pac was about to deal well, yeah. He was there to see it. He was there to see it. He wasn't only there to see Big them. When Jimmy Henchman told him that, he was there to see what's going to happen to Pac. He was there for that. Because had he not been there for that, he would have went up there in the office. He would have went to the studio or the studio session with Big and them. He would have went to that studio session with Big and them. He knew what room Big and them was in. He didn't do that. He was there to see what was going to happen to Pac after Jimmy told him. And that's factual.
According to Gene, this is consistent with Kirk Burroughs' assertion that Diddy had a behind-the-scenes involvement. If money was involved, Gene thinks Kirk would be aware of its source.
Yeah, Kirk Burroughs, he also said that, he feels like, Diddy was behind Pac murder.
Yeah. If Diddy played a part in that stuff, like he said, Kirk know where the money came from. I'ma say this. They tried to, if you talk about the Vegas trip and the whole 9 yards, Kirk said that he paid for people to drive out to Vegas. You know what I'm saying? He said he paid for people to drive out of Vegas. I was heavily with Bad Boy at that time. I don't remember that part of it. You understand? I don't remember that part of it. But if Kirk knew and he was paying for people to drive out to Vegas in the whole 9 yards, it's hard to hide $1 million, brother. You ain't going to cash that in the check cashing place. You signing that over to somebody. I said 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 times again. Eric Von Zip showed me and my man Boondang, AKA my man Slick, a check for $1 million. We don't know, and everybody trying to say, lying, talking about half of it got paid, 500. I don't know. I know when I asked him about, we asked him, do we ask? No, we didn't ask him. I know when he showed us a check and he walked away after he showed us the check for the $1 million.
The money is still there, but the people involved may be gone. Paper trails endure forever. If the truth is ever revealed, it will be hidden in documents, checks, and transactions that are still traceable. According to Gene Deal, the shooting in Las Vegas that claimed Tupac Shakur's life occurred almost 2 years later, before Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, also known as Keefe D., was caught and charged with murder in September 2023. The case went unsolved for decades, igniting rumors across the hip-hop community. He was accused by the prosecution of being a major player in the murder. A previously secret 2009 police interview was then made public in a court filing in July 2024. In it, Davis allegedly claimed Diddy authorized the shooting and detailed his involvement in Tupac's murder, bringing up Sean Combs several times. Davis claimed Tupac's constant taunts infuriated Diddy. According to reports citing interviews with the D and the U.S. Department of Justice, Davis also said in a 2008 statement that Diddy had stated he needed to get rid of Tupac and Suge Knight and that he had offered $1 million to do so.
Diddy's claim was an informant in 1997 who told investigators that Puffy had hired the Southside Crips to kill both Suge and Tupac, and that the Crip who was jumped at the MGM was in the group that had done the hit, and that they originally were going to do it at Suge's Vegas nightclub, but then decided to do it right away instead of waiting. This was exactly the same story that Keefe D told us a decade later. Very few people know that immediately after Tupac is shot and that white Cadillac is fleeing, one of the death row entourage, a guy named Alton McDonald, known as Buntree, chases after the Cadillac, and a second shooting takes place between the two vehicles. Alton McDonald's car is struck. In fact, within the Las Vegas files, there's a document that indicates that Alton McDonald's car had been struck by a bullet that night.
Yeah, and he even said that, like, in retrospect, that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Puffy. By Zip stealing the money, now Puffy isn't connected to that shit. Or else it would have been like a hire or something, you know what I'm saying?
The FBI said it was just Zip.
So the FBI told you the
same thing. They said he was a dirty motherfucker.
So the FBI told you that Zip kept that money as well.
They said Zip's a dirty motherfucker. Everybody crossed you. You're the last one to know every fucking thing. Even lawyers, your friends. Everybody can cross.
Combs has refuted every claim. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department declared in July 2024 that Combs has never been regarded as a suspect in the investigation into the Tupac Shakur homicide. Diddy has never been accused of anything. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis has entered a not guilty plea, is still detained, and his trial has been postponed. The threat persisted after Tupac's passing. Diddy and his East Coast staff were advised not to go to the West Coast, according to sources with knowledge of the matter. Nevertheless, Diddy persisted in promoting the next album by the Notorious B.I.G. Diddy persuaded Biggie to go, even though he didn't want to. According to Kirk Burrows and Sean Combs, The Reckoning.
I seen an interview that Puffy did with Fat Joe where he was talking about Biggie in his last moments in LA, and he told Fat Joe that he didn't want to go to LA, he actually wanted to go to London. But Biggie, he was the one that wanted to go to LA, and he was the one that was pushing to go to LA.
That's not true. My name is Kirk Burrows. I ran Bad Boy Entertainment. I helped co-found it. I created the company with him. I raised from general manager to president. And at that time, I put all of those business plans together. And Biggie didn't want to go to LA, ended up going. What got him out there was a week ahead of time to ease him into the whole award show. He may not have wanted to go to London, but was talked into it. First time ever, a rapper of your stature getting this treatment, that would be something he would be interested in doing, but he was easily talked out of it by Sean so that they can make an appearance at an event in LA that Saturday night. A part of the posturing of not only did we come to the award show, not only am I recording my album out here, and Big is going to help me with some of the writing and maybe do something out here where me and him did this song in LA. I'm out on the town. And it was just too much.
Gene Deal claims to be able to confirm this. He disclosed that Clark Kent, an industry professional and close friend of the Notorious B.I.G., later acknowledged that he wondered why Biggie was even going out that evening. Biggie wasn't meant to be partying. She was supposed to be traveling. Why were they going to the Peterson Automotive Museum? Clark inquired. Biggie informed him that Sean Combs and another person had orchestrated it. Gene claims that at the time, he was unaware of this. Only years after Clark made it public did he find out about it.
They wasn't going out to no party, no clubs, and no hip-hop scene. They wasn't doing none of that, brother. But that one particular night they go out, and it was because of Puff and D-Rock. Clark Kent said that shit himself. I've been saying it for years, but everybody was saying, I'm capping. Nah. What do you call Clark Kent? Is he capping? He's a vice president of a record company. You understand what I'm saying? He was DJing for Big. Is he capping? All these people should smack themselves, brother. Because what happened is, when people hear the truth, they can't believe it. Why? They can't understand it. But it happened. We couldn't have done nothing because it was no we. It was no we out there. Big had a security, Paul Alford, Reggie Bullock. Puff had me and Kenny. We was down 6 to 8 other men. And it's 23 people in the entourage. And none of them got no guns. You don't go Cali empty-handed. We couldn't have done nothing, man.
The fact that Gene Deal requested additional protection before they left is what still aches the most. He claims that after pressing the matter, he was told no. Sean Combs claimed there wasn't enough money. According to Gene,
those people still want to know shit about him. They should have had better security. I asked them before we gonna go out, let's hire some more security. They refused to hire more security. They refused to hire more security. Kirk Burrows said the same thing. They ain't have it in the budget. Not without Big, they don't have no budget. How about that?
Greg Kading, a retired LAPD investigator, stated later in the documentary series that he thought Sean Combs made the investigation more difficult rather than simpler.
My perceptions have changed slightly, gradually over time. Today, I look at Diddy through a different lens than I might have 10, 15 years ago. There were obviously some early red flags, but it's a complicated thing because we have to be very careful about falsely accusing people or even, making accusations based on nothing more than speculation. And we just haven't seen all the evidence. So I prefer to kind of withhold judgment on some things. I can tell you regarding Diddy back when Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls were murdered. He wasn't exactly cooperative. He didn't do what you would assume a friend or a manager, so to speak, would do. So from a law enforcement perspective, he was very unhelpful in an area where he ought to have been contributing towards getting some type of justice in those two murder cases. But as we found out in time, he was complicit in one of them, and which would make sense why maybe he didn't cooperate in the other, because the two were, they were just, we always understood that they were somehow interconnected. And so if you're going to cooperate or provide information on one and you're culpable in the other, one thing could lead back to the next. And that's where I think he understood his own vulnerability.
Coming in, he was friendly with Big. He saw Little Sean, people like that. They wanted him to come and do a record. That was what was set up at Quad. Biggie knowing Little Sean, they were all there, C's, all of them. It was just going to be a fun night at the studio. Pac showed up. He saw them looking down from the window. His new friends were there. An incident happened in the elevator. It might have been a scary thing, like this to send a message. Tupac standing his own ground, just didn't leave it at that. He ended up getting hit, getting shot. The elevator went up. Our people were shocked to see him in that state. He was shocked to see our people looking at him shot. He thought that they knew something about it. He thought if he was in New York and he was with all the rappers from the East, they must have known what was going to happen. It had to be in the wind, and situations aren't laid out like that. And it was the furthest thing from the truth, but he held that to his heart. And then he went away. A few other things happened, got better, got repaired, went away, went to jail on a rape charge. Once that came down on him, it looked as if the East Coast must have been the worst thing and the worst place for him to have come to. And it looks as if the friends that he had just turned their backs on him. Suge stepped in. And when Suge stepped in, he signed him. He signed him to a napkin at Clinton. And that letter that he sent through Wendy Day, she was definitely a person that was connected and a mediator between most everyone in the hip hop game and had been for a minute, legendary person. She delivered the letter to my office. It started with West Side Up. So it gave an indication of rumblings that we heard in the street with him being shined by Suge was definitely true. He's going to go west when he come back, and he has an issue with us.
According to Kirk Burke, Tupac Shakur alerted him to the fact that music was no longer the only thing. The message was straightforward and icy. Tupac thought that he was at war with the notorious B.I.G. and Sean Combs. There was no opportunity for misinterpretation or confusion. What transpired at Quad Studios altered Tupac's entire perspective. Kirk says this because
a woman by the name of Wendy Day, very important woman in the hip hop world. I think she helped Baby and those guys with Cash Money label, setting that up. She's very influential and instrumental in a lot of success. When I started in the music business, I reached out to her. She had a company called Rap Coalition. She went back and helped rappers from a previous generation get their money straight, their royalties. With that being said, I was like, she's someone I want to know. In knowing her, I had the good fortune of when she was dealing with Tupac during his crises on the East Coast, she went to visit him at Clinton. He wrote a letter, drafted it so that she can bring it to me at the office so that I could know and be able to relate to Sean where we were with him. And the letter, if I remember, it said, West Side Up. And what we had heard was rumblings that Suge came and signed him on a napkin to a contract, and he was going to go west, and all the stuff that happened to him on the east and made it look like people on the east, the king or the biggest rappers on the east, or people that he knew should have warned him or protected him against what had happened. And it just is not geographically laid out like that. And a lot of people caught some blame for things that they had nothing to do with. And he took offense, went west, and that started him as a mouthpiece against the East, all right, going at Biggie. And I think it's more than, that's one level of the beat. Then I think there's another level of things that were going on in the streets where things happened in the dividing line between East and West that caused a big rift that led to mouthpieces going at each other.
Claims that Sean Combs' animosity for Tupac Shakur was strong, personal, and neither petty nor competitive. He acknowledges that it may sound extreme, but he maintains that the animosity was genuine. He claims that he didn't realize how deep it actually ran until much later.
Comment you made about how when you would bring up Pac name around Diddy, he'll get mad.
Yes. He hated every bit of it. I remember one time, you know, he was like, who did you grow up listening to? I'm like, Tupac. I ain't mentioned Biggie. That nigga ain't even talk to me for like 4 fucking days after that. Everything with Pac, like, you couldn't say Pac was anything better than Biggie. You can't put them in the same realm or nothing. It was all about Biggie. Nigga, I ain't know no fucking, it was all a dream whole song. I knew a couple words, the first verse maybe, but he made us recite the whole fucking thing. I guess, I don't know. He made us recite that whole fucking thing. And I don't think that Biggie would have gave a if a nigga would have killed about reciting his whole shit. You dig? Like, cause I grew up listening to Biggie too, you know? And I just felt Pac different. For this situation, I think the real reason why they ain't gonna let Puffy out is because they trying to connect that Keefer D situation with Puffy. That's what I really think it is. Cause if it came down to some freaking foolishness and all that there of buku chumped up charges they couldn't prove, I don't think they got no evidence. I think they trying to keep him in there to lock in that Keefer D. You heard me? That Keefer D situation with Puff. I think that's the only reason why he's still in jail right now. They know Puff is not a dangerous person on the outside. They know if they let him out right now, he's gonna be on house arrest. He's gonna be a good boy. He f around and do all church little videos and whatever. They know that already. That's not what they aiming for. They don't care about none of that. What they care about is they trying to connect Keefer D with Biggie. I mean, with Tupac and Diddy. I'm telling you, that's what I feel. And I never thought I would have said that, but I'm an intelligent man, bruh. And ain't no other way they gonna keep you in there of, Diddy did this to me. Oh, Diddy did that to me. I'm suing him. Oh, we got enough evidence to. No, you don't. That's accusations. That's not factual, brother. You dig? So I feel like the actual factual thing that they really trying to aim for is the Keefer D. That's the only thing that they can really lock him in with. All the rest of that shit gonna get chumped down when it come down to it. Diddy gonna plea, and that shit be over with. What they going? That rabbit in the hole is gonna be that Keefer D situation. I'm telling, mark my words. Watch. That's why they ain't gonna let him out. They would have let Keefer D out on that bail. Vegas got a little thing. They'll let you out on bail, but they got little restrictions of how you can get out. You dig? So they gonna make sure your ass can't get out of jail. Trust me. So that's the only way I see that. Because the feds play a different game.
Here's the thing. Now, this video is purportedly being leaked by 50 Cent to news. Aggregators such as TMZ, Sean Combs, will not remain silent if Gene Deal is to be believed. He will strike back.
Need people to put people out here that's doing shit like this. That's taking from people's families. That's women. That's women. I ain't got a problem with it. Let's go to war. Bruh, first of all, They're gonna try to get his baby mama stories. You know, they're gonna try to get 50 baby mama stories. They're gonna try to get girls that he probably dated, that he had problems and issues with and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna try to do the same thing they probably did to R. Kelly or Puff or whatever like that, and people tell their stories. You understand? But, you know, they trying to retaliate on what he did. Let him go ahead, bruh. Because I think he ready for it. You don't do this shit, and you don't do the stuff that he did or sign on to the stuff that he did with Puff. Unless you got your shit in order. Don't throw no stone if you live in a glass house. Don't throw no stone if you live in a glass house. I believe 50 ready for it. If they come at him any kind of way. I heard that Diddy is trying to sue Netflix for $1 billion. Ain't nothing came up in court. That's just talk, bro. No paperwork has been put in and signed into that. They're gonna have to have a reason. If they were suing him and he had enough reason, why they didn't cease and desist the thing? Huh? If he had a leg to stand on, why they didn't cease and desist the documentary? They're just people talking. Headline news. Because had it been filed in court and they had a leg to stand on, they'd have been bringing that stuff down. Oh, we can't show it no more.
Do you believe Sean Combs will ever be found guilty of killing Tupac Shakur? Tell us in the comments.